In a previous video, I showed you how to create a Siri shortcut that quickly logs a transaction in an Apple Numbers spreadsheet. With a series of prompts, the shortcut grabs the purchase details from the user, such as the date, amount, category, and a description, and while the phone is unlocked, it adds the information quickly into a Numbers spreadsheet. Before we get into it, I'm going to be assuming you've already seen that previous video and have set up your own transaction logging shortcut to use. In this video, I'll be quickly showing you how to set up a basic automation to run immediately after you purchase something via a phone tap, prompting you to run your shortcut and quickly logging your transaction straight into your spreadsheet. This is the most basic use case of this automation, and it's easy to set up right away with the shortcut you already have. But if you tweak the beginning of your shortcut, you can streamline the process even further, getting some of the transaction data from the tap pay and passing it into your shortcut to process. More on that in the second part of this guide. Let's start by setting up the automation to work. Then we can tweak the shortcut later. Open up the Shortcuts app and head to the automation section. Hit the plus to create a new automation. Scroll down to where it says transaction and tap on that. On this screen, it'll display the cards that you've added to your phone for tap pay and a bunch of categories. For this video, I'm going to leave everything ticked as I'd like this automation to run for any card that I use and for any category. You can also filter merchants, which is an interesting option. I guess this is helpful if you wanted to only track spending at a particular place and nothing else. At the bottom, you have two options: run after confirmation or run immediately. For this to work, you need to use the Run After Confirmation option. This is because your phone needs to be unlocked to add anything to a spreadsheet. If you were using another method to track your spending, like creating a text file in iCloud, I think that could potentially be done in the background, but you'd have to test it. Run After Confirmation just looks like a notification on your lock screen that you can tap and run the shortcut from. Then press Next. Search for the Log Transaction shortcut and tap on it. This is where you can choose your own shortcut if you have something else. Now, after any time you pay for something with your phone, it'll remind you and help you log it in your spreadsheet. The current build of my transaction logging shortcut that I use day to day has some logic in it to know if it's been run manually or as an automation after a tap pay. When run via automation, it uses the current date, so I don't have to input a date, and gets the amount straight from the tap pay itself, which eliminates a couple of steps when I'm using the shortcut. Here's how to upgrade your automation and shortcut to do that as well. Start by going back to your automation. Let's change a couple of things to build in some flexibility. When you get to the action screen, tap on New Blank Automation instead of finding your shortcut. Search for the Run Shortcut action, adding it to your automation. Tap on Shortcut and choose your transaction logging shortcut. Now, tap on the drop-down arrow and the Choose Variable option. Choose Shortcut Input and tap on that. When you tap on that, you'll be presented with a list of options to choose from, and these will pass into the shortcut for you to use. Tap on Amount. This will send the amount of whatever you bought and send it into your shortcut to process. Now let's edit the shortcut. Tap on Done and go to your shortcuts and click on the three dots to open and edit your shortcut. At this point, I'm going to move to the iPad for a larger view. I'm using the shortcut that I built in the previous video I mentioned at the start of this video. At the moment, when I run this shortcut, it prompts me to enter the date and the amount of the purchase before the description category. These are the two pieces of information that we can get automatically after a phone tap. Add an if action and move it to the second action in the shortcut. Tap on Condition and choose Shortcut Input. You'll see a box appear at the top of the shortcut. This is the settings for the information coming into the shortcut, known as the input. Weirdly, you can uncheck everything and it'll still work fine. Leave Continue under if there's no input. So basically, if you trigger the shortcut to run via phone tap automation, like we've set up, then the shortcut input will have a value. We've told the automation to send through the amount as the value. Otherwise, when using the shortcut manually, it won't have any value. That's what this if action is saying. So if the shortcut input has any value, we're going to add two set variable actions now. On the first one, tap on Input and choose Current Date. Format it to exclude the time. And label the variable name as Date. On the second one, tap on Input and choose Shortcut Input. Label it as Amount. And double check that the type of the shortcut input is number. These actions stores the information to be used later in the shortcut. Let's now address what happens if we don't use phone tap and run the shortcut manually. Move the date and amount prompts into the otherwise section of the if action. Add two more set variable actions, each underneath the date and number prompts. Label the first one as date. You can see the magic variable, we called it date in a previous video, and amount for the bottom one. All we need to do now is update the variables at the bottom of the shortcut in the add row to table in numbers action to have the orange variables that we've just added instead of the previous magic variables. Tap and hold on each one to substitute it out. Don't forget to also format the date variable in the sheet option down here to a custom format only displaying the year of the purchase date. This is so the information gets logged into the correct numbers sheet. See my previous video if that's a bit confusing. And now it's complete. Test it out next time you buy something with your phone. If you wish to experiment with your setup further and want to use more transaction information in your workflow, I suggest reading through an Automator's article I've linked in the description. One more thing to keep in mind. Sometimes after buying something via phone tap, my phone hasn't received the amount information for some reason, and so it enters into the spreadsheet as 0 in the amount column. This is just an unfortunate quirk of the setup. In my heavy use of this setup, this only happens occasionally, and it's pretty easy to just go into the spreadsheet and make a manual change. I hope this video was helpful.